Nintendo presents. Okay, so that's pretty much on point. All of this intro could be cut. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ben again, and I'm going to be reviewing Star Fox for the Super Nintendo. Now, I figured it would be best to play it through. It's a kind of long game. You'll see what I'm talking about when it gets to where it's going. So I think that this game has one of the greatest soundtracks of any Super Nintendo game. I was hoping the start menu was going to play for a little longer, but I think the music just keeps looping at a certain point, so I just, hit start. Now, before I get into how great this one is, I love Star Fox 64 also, and I have the remake for the 3DS. So, I would suggest giving the remake for the 3DS is definitely just superior. But the N64 one I had to actually go back and replay to feel the difference and everything for myself because it's one of my favorite games. So, in order, I would say I played this one first, N64 second, and 3DS version third, in the order they came out. But I also think, I think this one, it's so close to being the best. The only reason why the Nintendo 64 one is better would have to be probably the music is a little more emotional. There's also a lot more of it. That game is like an over hour-long soundtrack. So, the game has 3 paths. There's level 1 path through the center, level 2 up on the left track, and level 3 here on the bottom. The game has a lot of secrets, so I kind of just want to do separate playthroughs, starting with track 1. Play it like normal. I'd say this game could be replayed about 5 times. You'll pretty much see everything. You should still go, look up some secrets and tips and tricks. But otherwise the game is self-explanatory. Doesn't need a guide per se, like the N64 version might. So in this video I'm going to have the first 2 levels, and then I'm going to break the entire playthrough into quarters. Oh, when I was a kid I thought this was so cool that the Super Nintendo could speak so clearly. NES couldn't do that. I thought the good luck was like really cool, and that noise right there. I used to make those noises like every time I played the game, because they're so much better than the N64's dorky ass voices. They should have just stuck with Japanese gibberish, like they're, not Japanese, but just Japanese style. It maintains its Japanese style better than just pasting English in there. And I don't know about y'all, but when I was a kid, you had to learn to read just to play some fucking video games. So, kids today got it too easy. It's like, oh no, this game's frustrating me because I can't read it. We'll pick up a book and learn to read. That's the point. This thing's supposed to test your skills. Video games are meant to test your skills, not to waste your time. Well, anyways, one thing that always bugged me was how much they bitch. They bitch a lot in the N64 one, but in this game they bitch if you shoot down their enemies, which I find annoying. Their targets. And then another thing that's also kind of awkward is in the N64 game, good luck playing an entire playthrough without losing a single, AI partner. In this game, there's like one threat per level, maybe, and it's one enemy. And then besides that, you just keep going. So, I missed that. So, I mean, I like that the N64 version doesn't have a shield bar. It's just the condition of the R-Wing. But I think the shield is helpful. Later parts of the game, you get a super shield that also makes you invisible, so enemies can't really fire directly at you. I mean, look at that, I barely nipped him. But I love the bosses in this one. I mean, I love them in the N64 version. I mean, stop talking about that game, but version. It's not a version, it's a whole game. But the bosses in this game are great. And this game has what I wish every game had, which is in the credits it does an enemy playthrough, and it shows you all the bosses, and it shows you how big they were, and their name, and blah 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 blah. Just a little bit of extra detail. So this boss, see that energy port on the back? I forgot you could get free hits on it when it rolls up. But I'd kill him before he even gets the chance to turn around, so I always loved doing that. If you could shoot this one boss down fast enough, he wouldn't even get the chance to extend the battle. So, right there, the front port. You'll watch me barely get it. Oh, by the way, you can spin with the triggers and deflect energy balls. Not regular shots, but those balls you saw I deflected. And there it is. Oh, I loved watching the console just white out like that, too. See, this game has great music. Damn, 95, I thought I got 100. It's because I can think of the enemies I missed, but anyways. So you can see there's 2 asteroid levels. The other one has secrets. And pretty much, yeah, most of this game is space levels. The thing that is kind of nice about the space levels is some of them default with the first-person view, and some of them default with the third-person view. So there's an interesting difference between the two. So anyways, we're on the asteroid belt. I always look at Andross's forces, like, why is there 3 S's in a row? Like, why isn't it just the apostrophe? Andross. Oh, that's why. Because it sounds weird. Andross forces. Andross's forces. Okay, I get it. But, strange. Still to this day, bugs the crap out of me.
Goodbye.
So this is what I was talking about with the first-person perspective. I mean, I was going to say, name another game on Super Nintendo that can do something like this, but this is a Super FX game, and it's a game with a Super FX chip in its cartridge that assists the console in 3D rendering. So it's kind of like the system was hacked by Nintendo because they added extra hardware. But essentially, see the little arrows on the left and right. They're showing the yaw and such. And they'll spin if I'm doing barrel rolls. Now, at a certain point, you'll notice I just fire constantly, and I haven't picked up the habit so far, but this gameplay was recorded earlier, if you couldn't tell. But at a certain point, you just start tapping the triggers constantly, so you're constantly barrel rolling. And in certain levels, there's spots where the game kind of demands it of you. Otherwise, you're just going to get tore up. And what's really nice is that that level of tapping gets into your fingertip. So right now, I am, or I was when I was playing this, smashing both the fire button and the roll button once I start my rolling habit. My hand wasn't quite warmed up yet. And then when you're tapping the controller, two buttons on one side constantly, I mean, eventually it just kind of spreads to your left hand, and your aiming becomes a little bit more of a taps than holding down. And you'll see me slowly develop it here in a minute. I think I just reached that point where I realized what I was doing. All of that precision is coming from just meticulous tapping. And this game has a lot more control over it if you treat it like an arcade, and you're just really careful with it. Like tapping precision, like don't get lazy, don't get frustrated like Guitar Hero and like lax, like don't roll your finger all over the fucking D-pad, but lightly tap it. Now the N64 version doesn't suffer from that symptom because the stick is analog, and it can lean in varying degrees, so you know there's a softness to the throw of the stick. Oh, I love this boss too. I totally forgot his first section detaches, otherwise he wouldn't have even hit me. But you'll see my precision come into play here, the thing I was talking about. That was the part. I'm pretty sure you barrel roll around it. I don't know. But anyways, he's an easy boss. If I recall, just like in Star Fox 64, there's a couple of bosses that you can re-battle on alternate courses. Can't really remember. My memory's a little hazy. So anyways, that is stage 2 clear. 100%. Kind of bugs me that that's one of the few times you get the opportunity to get an extra life in this game, is kind of when you lay the smack down on a level. And then I think there's one other point I never understood with the Falling Star Wars. But anyways, I think there's one other point where you can fly through a life. But anyways, this has been Ben. Thank you for supporting my channel. Make sure to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.